episode of the CourtSide TakeOver podcast. Sitting here with I wanted to get this guy on really, man. Heard about him through the grapevine, man. Heard about the type of guy he was, and I'm here to say that he lived up to the hype. As soon as I walked into the door, man, welcomed me with open arms. Great guy, man. And I'm just ready to hear more about him and learn more about him. We're here with the coach at North College Hill Trojans, Coach Miner. What's up, Coach?
How you doing? Yeah, I know it's been a long time. What, about a year? Maybe?
Yeah, man. I apologize for that, man. Been doing a lot of running around, man.
No, you're a popular guy, and that's what happens when you're popular. It's hard
trying to get the thing off the ground.
Yeah, your schedule's tight, my calendar's tight, but it's great now. It's getting close to basketball. It's probably the best time for us to meet anyway.
Yeah, and that's why I said when I said I wanted to start my takeover tour, I said I promise this. That's the first place I'm going. So. Man, it's been a tough year last year and this year. So how has that transition being that playing a whole season through COVID? Now we kind of making that transition out of it. Still in it really heavy, but how's that transition being with COVID, sports? How's it been for you in the program?
Well, with last year, I think we just learned, I think that's life in general. Like, you're going to have those obstacles in life, and I think that's the way we approached it last year with our players. That every time in life, you're going to have all these obstacles, and how are you going to handle them? That's your character and who you are and how you attack that. And so last year was a challenge, but we got almost every game in but maybe two. And for that to happen, that was great. Now, this year, we have a whole different attitude because we feel like we're going to be able to get the whole season in. The guys have a positive attitude, and I think they're really excited with a lot of energy, looking forward to the season and hoping we can have, if you want to call, quote-unquote, a normal season.
Definitely. How has the pandemic impacted you?
I would say for me, I guess the thing that bothers me the most is seeing the players not get the experience that I know that they can have, the high school experience. Because, we've all been in high school before and involved with athletics. And when you've played the sport and been a student athlete, I think it really, it sets you up for fun. And for the kids not to have that, I know what it's like to be successful in high school for a team. And so I want our guys to experience that, because guys do come back and say, man, this was so much fun. And we always tell them every day, you better enjoy it because you never know when it's going to be gone. And the pandemic has taught us a lot about life, and hopefully these guys are learning from that.
I started this whole thing to give coaches a platform. I think we got some really great coaches here in the Cincinnati area that don't get a lot of spotlight. Mm-hmm. So if someone don't know you, or if someone hearing about you want to play for you, tell us more about you as a person, you as a man, and where did you start?
Well, I grew up in North College Hill, attended North College Hill. After high school, I went to Northern Kentucky University on a basketball scholarship. Played there for 4 years, played on some successful teams. I think we were 80-16 the last 3 years, went to the national championship game for 2 years. We were runners-up, came in second 2 years in a row. Pretty good accomplishment for our team. But the thing I always tell our guys is individual success will come from team success. It can't be the other way around. You know what I mean? Like, you got to win as a team first, and then those individual accolades will come, not the other way around. And that's what it was for us as a team. Like, I was the point guard. I was the table setter. I was, grandma at Thanksgiving dinner, making sure everybody has their food first.
Then I eat last.
Well, you got to put yours in the microwave if you do it right. You know what I mean? Grandma has to warm hers up if she does it right. And so that's how I tell our players, you have to approach the season, your teammates. You got to love one another. We're brothers, and we got to stay and be brothers. And if we're not, and we don't protect each other, then we're going to fall apart. We always say a fist is stronger than a hand. We got to come together as one. And we're always stressing that to our guys, but that's kind of where I came from, growing up here at North College Hill, kind of understand the landscape of everything, familiar with the kids and that. Now getting older, familiar with some of the things, and learning the TikTok and getting into it because my kids can do it, my own kids at home. So it's good though to be at home and to give back to the community and give back to our school, because that's really important to us as coaches.
So I like that. That's a lot of good intel. Just seeing how you as a man know how to change with the times. There's a lot of coaches that I ain't dealing with no TikTok, but you gotta transition with the guys, or it'll just pass you by. What got you into coaching on the strength of most basketball players I like playing, but I don't want to deal with the headache of coaching. So what got you into coaching?
Well, I think it's a couple people. I think my uncle was coach at Reading. He was the head coach, football coach there for 30 years, but he was a PE teacher and a health teacher. Bruce Perenzi, who was a longtime coach here at North College Hill, football, basketball, softball, and baseball, and track, he had a huge influence on me as well. He was a PE health teacher. So I'm a PE health teacher, and I always thought, like, during Christmas, that was the coolest thing. Like, I would be at Christmas and they were talking about having 2 weeks off. I was like, man, that's pretty cool. What's that profession called? And so as I got older, I understood the impact that people and teachers and coaches can have on young people. And so they had that impact on me. And so we all know as we grow up, we try to mentor people. And I feel that that's a special thing that we get to do. I mean, long hour days. I mean, today's a 14-hour day. And it starts from 7 in the morning until 8 o'clock at night. We got practice, we got to mentor our players. And so those things that those people gave to me, those adults and those coaches and teachers, I am now doing for our young men. And I feel like we're giving back to them. But now the next thing is those people, I have 3 people on my coaching staff that I've coached in the past. And so they know how to carry everything out. They know the process and they know what we believe in. And so sometimes I can kind of take a step back and let them coach. So mentoring young men, those young men getting older now, and now they're coaching our kids here at North College Hill.
Sweet. Everybody know North College Hill has been one of the most...
Hey, I hope that you enjoyed this interview. But before we get started, can you do me a favor? Press that button right there. Press the subscribe button for your chance to win free CourtSide TakeOver apparel. A shirt of your choice. Even a hat. So, thanks for listening to the podcast. Hope that you press that button I said and subscribe. Enjoy.
Everybody know North College Hill has been one of the most a historic school in the city. From Bill Walker to O.J. Mayo to players of that such. Do you feel any pressure to live up to that hype and to keep that standard?
Not at all. Not at all. You know what our goal is to develop young men. We try to use basketball as a life lesson. And so life is going to give us all these challenges, these curveballs, whatever it is, analogy you want to make. And our kids have to be able to adapt to that. And so wins and losses are definitely a good thing. But I think developing young men, number one, our number one opponent every year are grades. That's number one. We have to get the schoolwork done, or we can't talk about Purcell, Marion, Roger Bacon, Summit Country Day, and all these other teams. We can't talk about other opponents. So grades are number one. So we never really worry or anybody talk about the past. I know about the past. I know about Ralph Camphouse and Steve Collier and J.D. Mahaffey and Bruce Brinsley. I know all those people. I know all the players that came before me. I know all the guys in the 80s because I was one of those little kids running up and down the bleachers. I know all of them. Yeah. I know all the banners that are in the gym and all the players that have come before me. And so for me, that's important because I think that history teaches us a lot about the future and about the present. And so, but we don't really talk about those guys very often. We know the success that they had here. I think those banners and all the banners hanging in the gym, having Jamie Mahaffey still here around the school to talk to bounce ideas off is always a great resource. And so we use that to be successful in our basketball program today.
Cool. I'm doing some research on you. I came past something that was really, really interesting. It was a pretty cool story, being that I don't know if you know this or not, but I'm visually impaired. I'm legally blind myself. And my high school coach adapted it so that I could play basketball and I could actually be successful while doing it. I faced my disadvantages. I really didn't see the floor. I had to come in super early so I could get extra work in and find ways that I could adapt it for me. Current position as adaptive sports coordinator at Clover Nook right across the street. Now that's my job, is to make it possible for kids with disabilities to play sports. Reading the story, you used to coach Reggie last year, right?
Oh yeah.
How was that coaching a kid with the ability most people in the world would say he can't, but you made it so that he can? How was that experience?
Well, like I said in one of the news channels, is I learned more from Reggie than he learned from me. Like how he carries himself and how he doesn't care and how he just, is able to go through his life and be successful. He never would bring up anything that was different about him. In fact, he was more normal than if you say a normal person to me, because Reggie was so special. In fact, last week he asked me to go to the Xavier basketball game with him. That's the first time he's ever said, Coach Miner, do you want to go somewhere with me after I spent all this? So he's making that change. He's turning and I love Reggie. He's my all-time favorite NCAA basketball player. He only missed 2 days in 4 years. Actually, he didn't miss 2 days. He was late those 2 days. He went to Shell one day and he went to Skyline the other day. So he was hungry, but he was here. Yeah. Reggie was always here. I think he made 7 threes his senior year. And so for him to overcome that lets a lot of people know. Now, also about Reggie is he also loves Michael Jackson.
I seen him dance.
He did all the dances.
Yeah.
And so what he'll do is he'll put it in the background. He'll be in front of the screen. And we did it in a pep assembly. This is probably 5 years ago. And he did the whole dance. And he did exactly what Michael Jackson was doing. When Michael was behind him, he was in front. He didn't even have to look at it. So Reggie is special. He's not different. He's just a special guy that teaches us things. And I do have an adaptive PE background with working with children with disabilities.
Cool.
And so, so I have a special ed background as well. And so I have a special, spot in my heart for guys like Reggie who try to overcome, challenges in life, because I think that's what life is. And Reggie will teach you things when you talk to him, things that you don't think he knows. Reggie knows, and that's what's special about Reggie.
Yeah, that story was so just touching and inspiring, just knowing my story and how I had a sport adapted so I can play and seeing this someone else, because I always said, if Coach Warren didn't let me play, I wouldn't have the opportunity. So to know that there's people out here that's really like you, that's really like, I don't care what's wrong with you, if you can help us, come on. So that was really inspiring to me. But coaching, you see the climate we live in today. Do you see any difference in, I don't even want to say that, what is the difference into coaching a African-American kid than a Caucasian kid? Because we may say it's a difference, but I think it's all the same. So do you think that there's any difference in the two? Being that you are
I don't, because I have a Caucasian kid at home. I have three
Exactly.
of them. I have three of them. So they're all the same in terms of, I think it's the environment where you grow up, okay? I think it's also your background, who raises you and who you're around all the time. That's important. I think if those people are missing in your life, those kids are gonna have to gravitate to someone. And so that's why teachers and coaches are here. That's why I'm here. And so I would never be here, no matter the background of the students here at North College Hill, I would be here no matter what. Because I feel it's a special place because I grew up here. The kids are special. The same things I deal with at my house are the same things I deal with here. I have teenage kids at home. I have a sophomore, a senior, and I have an 8th grader. And so, you deal with those. I think the number one challenge that we have nowadays is social media. I think the cell phone is the number one. It's just the number one issue in schools. It's the cell phone. If there's an argument or a fight or anything that happens, the phones come out. And so it's such a distraction. If people can't drive with their cell phone now, they shouldn't be able to learn with cell phones out. It's a huge challenge. It's one that, I know this is kind of off topic, but in my classroom, they're not allowed to have their cell phones because they have to stay focused. Yeah. We have to stay focused. Like I said, they're not out on the court playing with their cell phone. When they're playing, you don't see LeBron James pull his cell phone out. Yeah, like, hey, I'm on your lap, pass it. So our guys were big in communication. We think it's very important, but coaching the kids here, I think the biggest challenge is just getting them here and in our grades. That's the number one thing in schoolwork.
Let's talk about some of your community work. I see that you did a camp that I was interested in. I think you was telling me about it while we was texting, actually. How did that go?
So what I do is, my dad was killed by a drunk driver probably about 11 years ago.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, so what we did was my dad was always involved, and my mom was as well, but my dad went to all the basketball camps when I was growing up. And so I wanted to, my dad never missed a game of mine, home or away, high school or college. Never missed one game. And I had a younger sister, so my mom had to stay back with her, so he was always traveling. And so when that had happened, I was trying to find a way to honor my dad. And so what we did was we did a basketball camp, but the dads actually come to the camp. So when you do the drills, the dads are actually doing the drills. They don't sit in the bleachers. So my dad was always the one when I went to Indiana's basketball. Yeah, so when I went to Indiana's basketball camp or Xavier or UC, my friends would always go, "There's your dad again." There he is. So but that was something I didn't understand when I was a young kid. But now being older, my dad cared so much that he took off his vacation time to come watch me at basketball camp. So I would have the camp that I do now is the kids and the dads do the drills. So if we're doing defense, we're doing shooting, any camp that you went to growing up, your dad has to come out. So they can't wear ripped jeans. They can't wear a baseball hat, the dad. They can't wear business clothes. They got to put their laptop away, their cell phone. And they do the drills. And then we do games. And then I've had a guest speaker. So I've had Chris Mack come. I've had Byron Larkin, if you know Byron.
Byron Larkin, I'm familiar.
Yep. Barry Larkin's brother.
Yeah.
So we have all these guest speakers. John Brandon came one year and they talked to the dads. It's 3 hours. We have Skyline Chili there. And so they just play. And so what we're just trying to do is bring kids together with their parents. And if it isn't a parent, it might be an AU coach, a neighbor, an uncle, or
big
whatever.
Brother, uncle.
Yeah. So anybody that's their mentor. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to bridge close that gap a little bit from parents and kids. And that was one thing my dad and I had in common was sports, baseball, soccer, football and basketball.
Man,
so it was just a connection.
This.
Man, it's a lot of stuff to adjust right now. I mean,
it is.
So
it really
this is a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Any way I could get on board. I lost my father when I was 4 to a car accident.
So we have something in common.
Yeah, I lost my brother about 4 years ago, and he had custody of his 3 girls. So I'm not a father myself. Hope to be soon, but I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I love kids. I'm all for the kids. I'm all with helping. I'm all with coming to talk. Anything. I think that we need to get this out here more.
Yeah, no.
I think that this is something that I want. I had a camp about, what was this? About in March? I think it was March. I had a camp. And I was thinking, what if around like Father's Day I can have like a dad's? And you already doing it.
I'm already doing it.
I would love to get on board. If you need me, I will come cover it.
No, we need
to. Listen.
Because we got to get it out there because like.
Yes, I would love this. I love this.
I think like
we need to see more of this.
What happened for me when I was 35 years old, and so like I can't imagine if I was 15, 14, or 8 and losing a family member at that age because it leaves a huge hole in your heart. You feel like something's missing. Yeah, and so like. We have to do something to do that. And like a lot of times that's when we go back to wins and losses. Those are secondary. Like the importance and the impact that we make on these kids. And when they come back and stay in this office and go, man, coach, man, I really miss this. Man, you were right. Like when you told us all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, you know, and hopefully they pass it to the next generation. Like I said, I have 3 guys on staff now that they believe in everything that I've told them. And now they're speaking the word that I told them a long time ago. So it's really neat to see how things work. But I mean, dads are so important to kids, and we need father figures, more fathers doing more stuff to guide our young men so they stay off the street, so they stay out of bad things. And athletics and basketball is the perfect avenue for that.
Agreed. I see that you have, just by listening to you, you have a lot of passion for the game. Where do you get that from?
Man, that's a good question. You know, being a player, being a point guard, I think you have to communicate with your team. And my whole thing, again, like being like grandma on Thanksgiving, like I'm always trying to get my teammates involved. I always were throwing oops, passes. I made sure they got set up. They were eating first before I got mine. Like it was just always like that. And so I think your point guard is like your quarterback or your catcher in baseball. Yeah. It has to be your vocal leader. And so for me, like, I'm just high on life. Like I just love like being here. Like I get here early every day. I get ready. I call my assistant coaches. We plan out practice. I mean, it's 14-hour days. Yeah. I mean, it's you'll see it on the board out there. Today for 90 minutes, we are high energy, high pace practice. We do not go slow. We go through life 100 miles an hour, and we don't slow down now at 90 minutes. And that's how I am. That's just me. I might be like this when I sleep at night. I don't even know, man. I just go 100 miles an hour. Man. I get up, I move around. It's just me and who I am. It's just, you know, I'm just an energetic kind of guy.
I love it. Let's have a little fun though. Some of the best players you've ever seen play.
Best player, best point guard, we'll go with Nick Van Exel. So I got to play. I don't know if you know who Nick the Quick Van Exel was. Played at UC, played for the Lakers. Yeah. He was probably the quickest guy I ever played against. So in the summertime, we used to have the summer wide league. Now it ain't like it is now. This was big time back when Corey Blunt played from UC, Eric Martin, all those guys from Xavier. So we'd go to Purcell Marion High School. It would be hot. Those big fans would be in there, and we would play. So the best player I probably ever played against was him. I don't know if you ever heard of Kibu Stewart. Never heard of Kibu Stewart. How about Ben Wallace?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so I played Ben Wallace my junior year in the Final Four. He played for Virginia Union. Dang. We beat them to go to the national championship game.
Oh, yeah, I did.
So they were laughing at us when we walked in. Oh yeah, they laughed at us, but then we beat them. We beat them, I think, at the buzzer. And so, you know, he went on to win an NBA title, so he really got the last laugh. But as far as most successful guy, Ben Wallace. But Nick Van Exel was probably the quickest. Nick the Quick. And I know you know Sherwin Anderson.
Yeah, I know Sherwin.
Sherwin is definitely another guy that if he could have, and this is no knock on him, but if he could have shot a little bit better, man, he would have been unstoppable. He's
Sherwin
a guy,
was that good.
Man, Sherwin was good. He was quick. And so if you were on your heels, he was going by. You had to meet him at the top of the key and stop him, because if he got deep into the lane, he could finish and he could pass.
That's crazy, because when I tell people about Sherwin, they're like, he used to play for Xavier, people look at me like I'm crazy. No, he's used to be
So
good.
I would put him right below Nick Van Exel, like as far as quickness and that. Now, Nick Van Exel had the ball on the string, so did Sherwin, but a little bit different level. But I would say Sherwin would be another guy, man, that I competed against. I thought, man, he's a really good player. Now you might not think that now, because he's in his 40s, but I'm telling you,
he was really good.
Sherwin was a really good basketball player. Yes.
What's your relationship like with a lot of the other coaches in the city? How is that relationship?
I feel really positive. I feel that if you're a people person and you're fair with other people, sharing film, talking to them about other teams. I think they respect that. And I think if you treat people really well, here's the thing: we're all friends because, you want to bounce ideas off. You want to ask other coaches what works for you, because what works for you might not work for someone else, because everybody's got a different situation. But when you get on that court and you start competing, you're friends, but it's a different kind of friendship at that point. You're trying to win. Though, really good friends with a couple coaches in our league, but when we go out there and play, we're both trying to win. And it makes it a lot more fun when you know the coaches, but when you lose to them, it bothers you. It really does. But when you win, it's a great feeling, obviously.
Make the competition better.
Yes, competition is great, because in life, you're going to get challenged, and how you're going to respond to that is who you are as a person.
Well, it's time for my takeover segment of the day. I'm going to ask you a couple questions. You can answer them to the best of your ability, as honest as you want. Starting off with the first question. Narrow your principles down into 3 words.
Determined, friendly, and approachable.
I like it.
There we go. She's
like
new
it.
now. So I've only had her for like 2.5, 3 months now. So you threw me a curveball. You threw me a curve on that one. I'm thinking, hold on, because I've had 4 principles since I've been here. So you threw me a curve on that. There you go. You took over. You took me over right there.
Got you. If a player want to come to College Hill, what type of coach is he getting, and what type of program is he playing for?
Well, you always hear players coach. I guess you could go that point guard. I think also intensity, competitor, hard worker. But those are all the things that were passed down by my parents. And so those are genes that maybe you are given, but you also want to try to instill that work ethic into to your players. So I think those are the ones that would describe me.
Definitely. Best basketball shoe to play in your opinion?
The 89 flights.
Oh, I like to
You
back.
probably
The 89
like,
flights. I know.
So the 89 flights, I can't find them anywhere. So I'm on eBay, I'm looking everywhere. I'm calling place black and silver. 89 flights.
Black and silver, 89 flights.
I'm telling you, the 89 flight, black and silver, those were my favorite ones. And all the Jordans back in the late 80s were like the ones I like. And then we'll go way back, because this is my favorite player of all time, was Larry Bird. So the weapons,
The weapons.
the black and white weapons. So I didn't like Magic growing up, because I didn't like the West Coast. I was like, I like Boston.
Right.
But now as I got older, I have an appreciation for Magic because of the way he played. But I would definitely say the weapons, and I would say the 89 flights, the black and silver.
I like
I know it's old school,
flights.
man.
Yeah,
Your shoe people really like that.
I like that.
Yes,
I like
yep.
that. Starting 5 NBA roster. Who is your starting 5? If they tell you to go pick your all-time NBA starting 5.
Okay, I'm gonna go. Man, all times is crazy. So now I don't have a lot. This is your takeover time, so you're taking me over. You're like posting me up right now, man. Let's see. I'm gonna go Shaq as my 5, because I just think he was so dominant and dominant inside there that like no one could guard him in there. I'm gonna go Scottie Pippen at the 4. Let's go Michael Jordan at the 3. I think Michael Jordan's the best of all time. We'll throw LeBron in there with him.
Okay.
Okay, but here's my point guard. This is a crazy one though, but I'm gonna go Jay Will. Do you remember Jay Will?
White
Now,
chocolate.
White chocolate was one of my favorite growing up.
I love Jay Will. I love his game.
Well, I liked him with Chris Webber, so I want Chris Webber to be my 6th man, because they had a great connection with one another, and I think chemistry is so important that I want those guys. Now, I left a lot of guys off from the Dream Team.
Yeah.
But I think LeBron's got to be in there, but Jordan's my favorite of all time. But I got to get Jay Will in there, because he was so good with the ball, man. That like he would make those other 4 or 5 guys so happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would go that 5 or 6 right there, man. You're really taking over right now, man. You got to stop.
I like that.
That's good.
That.
That's
I like
good.
that. If you could coach any player in the city, who would it be?
Well, I want to coach somebody different, and so let's go Paul McMillan, I guess. Paul would be
Welcome
a guy.
back, P.
Yeah, here's why. I know his dad. Yeah. He's a guard. I know he's probably a combo guard. I don't know how you want to categorize him, because he's so good. He's so explosive. But I like his basketball IQ, and so I always felt like I was a basketball guy. So whenever we go down and break down film in the classroom and that with our team, I love doing that. And so I would love to be able to sit down and pick the brain of another high school athlete just to see what he thinks. So if we watched an NBA game or one of his games, I would ask him questions like, why'd you do this? Or what could you have done better? And I think that would be great to sit down with him, because I know he's going to be a high-level college basketball player. Yes.
That's a good one. I ask the question a lot. I get the same 2 answers, really. Paul and Rayvon.
Now, Rayvon I would like, because he's so high-level, and it's not my position. And so for me, that would be kind of interesting because it would be contradicting, styles in that because he's a different type of player.
I think he one of those type players. His motor's so high
Mm-hmm.
that you just roll the ball out.
Yeah.
And some coaches could get that confused because you still got to coach him at the end of the day with him being so young.
Mm-hmm.
But you will get confused with just rolling the ball out because he don't stop.
Well, that's
don't
good.
stop.
If he's got a high motor, I could definitely coach him.
He don't stop. He don't stop. So last but
good.
not least, who should I have on the podcast next? And if you know him, you should plug me.
Oh, let's see. Let me think of my guys around the city here. There's a lot of good coaches. Man, you're really throwing it. And you didn't even give me any warning on this. That's the best thing about it. A guy that really doesn't get any attention is there's a lot of guys out there. Man, you got me. I'm going to go with, I don't even know all my coaches right now. I'm trying to think. There's so many coaches. Man, you got me now. I don't know. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to plug a guy up.
I can show you a coach the coach at Finneytown. Do you know him?
Yeah.
I've been looking for him.
Yeah,
Reggie.
Coach Reggie.
Okay.
Coach Reggie's, he's a good coach. I'm just trying to think of some of the guys that maybe get overlooked or we don't hear a lot of. But there's so many good coaches out there.
Definitely.
Here's the thing with the pandemic though is we didn't get a lot of chance to interact with coaches last year. We were separated from coaches. We couldn't have coaches meetings.
They took a lot of that stuff away.
They took a lot away, and so we haven't been around people in over 18 months. And so really coaches, I would say the one in Lakota. Yeah, I'm drawing a blank.
Lakota
East.
Okay, got you.
I'm drawing a blank now.
Gotcha.
But there's so many great coaches out there. I really couldn't single one out. Man, you did a good job of your takeover, man. You took over in my office. That's not good.
Yes, sir.
That's good. But there are a lot of coaches out there, so I can't really say one. So I don't want anybody to get mad, but we do have a lot of great coaches in Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky.
I think
really
so too.
We really do. And it's good because when I go to coaches or go watch college practices, I see Mike Price is one that has definitely been around for 35 years that kind of flies on the radar at Oak Hills. That coached me in high school.
Mike Price,
okay. Yeah, so he would be one that would give a different perspective on kids and that in AAU because he's been around it for over 40 years. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And last but not least, I'm curious. How do you think how do you think, since you said that, how do you think AAU changed how basketball is played and changed the whole dynamic of high school basketball, school ball?
Well, I think AAU's taken over high school. I hope, and I think colleges are talking about doing is putting more emphasis on the high school coach. Because I think too many people are playing AAU basketball and it gets watered down.
Yeah.
I get there's different levels of AAU, but I think AAU coaches maybe don't see their players as much as a high school coach. So I'm here for today 10 to 12 hours around my players. I think I could give a better perspective on them and who they are as a person. I think AAU is good because the level of competition is higher. Mm-hmm. That's where the college coaches go. So they have been talking about ways to get the high school coaches at some high school events in the summer, maybe during some of those months.
Yeah.
Because then we're together. Now you're bringing kids from all these different schools to play AAU, and it's a little watered down. It's almost like the All-Star game, the NBA All-Star game. So from that, but I really like high school because you are coaching with the hand that you're kind of dealt. You know what I mean? You're trying to make the best of what you
Let's
have.
see who can really coach.
Yeah. But you know what, though? When you do have the best players from each team, you have to manage each person's personality.
Egos.
Yeah, and their egos. So, coaching, it's almost like being a baseball manager. You almost have to manage your team sometimes. And that's what I do. You got to know each person's personality and what their strengths are. And we talk about that a lot with our players.
I like that. Thanks for the content, man. Great interview. We finally got to do
This
it.
is good, man. We did it at Northcott Chill in the coach's office.
In the coach's office.
In the locker room. I mean, you could be in a better place.
I love it. So, man, I appreciate. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me, man. I love it. This is great.
Thank you. And this is the CourtSide TakeOver podcast, and we out.